I'm here this morning with David Blobum, a nationally recognized expert in the entrance exam and college admissions industry. And he's here to make sense of all the changes students and parents should expect and prepare for. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
So the ACT is changing this year. In April, the digital format will be the new test. What do students need to know about this?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So in April, the digital format becomes the new test. There's also still going to be a paper version. That paper format, it doesn't change until September. So April, digital is the new test. September, the paper version follows and becomes the new test. And what students need to know about that is more or less all the changes are in students' best interests. Students will have more time per question, and the science section, which a lot of students don't like, that's becoming an optional separate score that won't affect their composite score anymore. The only downside to that, the new test though, is that there are limited practice tests that have been put out. But in general, students need to know that they have until February 28th to register for the April ACT. If they register for the digital version, they'll get the new ACT. If they register for the paper version, they'll get the current unchanged ACT.
And so, David, do you recommend that students take this new ACT? And how does that work? Can they also take the paper version?
Great question. So, unfortunately, the ACT has not released any authentic practice tests for the new ACT. So, for the vast majority of students, I don't recommend they switch to that new ACT on the digital version yet. I would wait to see what those practice tests look like so that students can practice with that, gain familiarity with the new test before they see it on test day. But the one exception to that would be if a student's science score is much lower than their English, math, and reading scores, then they might consider taking this new test. Because on the new test, that science score is not included in their overall composite score. So if the science is really low and bringing their overall composite score down, taking that new test wipes that science score from their composite score. So that could just immediately make their composite score go up by excluding that science section from it. So for those students with a very low science, maybe consider taking that new ACT even earlier than other students. So earlier than September when the paper version will become the new test.
For parents listening, I know you've talked a lot and we have a lot of information we dumped on them. Where can they go that kind of breaks it down and so they can learn more?
The best place to go would be to nationaltestprep.org. That's where they can connect with a vetted SAT and ACT expert who can really take a look at the students' practice test scores, PSAT scores, and say, okay, the SAT is the better test or the ACT is the better test, and this is when you want to take it, or you should take the current ACT or take the new ACT if your science is low. So you really would want to enlist an expert if you're going to make the best possible choices.
Okay, great. Well, David, thank you so much for giving us all this information. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to watch more segments from Marketplace on News Channel 20.